Okay, let's dive into this. Today, we're going to look at a fascinating and honestly kind of baffling case study all about government trust. It's centered on a series of constantly shifting deadlines in Meghalaya, and it brings up a huge question. What actually happens when promises are broken over and over again?
I mean, that one sentence just nails it, doesn't it? It gets right to the heart of the whole thing. It's all about a simple but really powerful idea: credibility. If you can't even keep a promise you made just a few weeks ago, why should anyone believe you about the big stuff down the road? So you might be wondering, what kicked all this off? Well, it all boils down to this really weird last-minute switcheroo on a deadline that was supposedly already set in stone. And this is where it gets really interesting. The original promise was clear: deliver the new teacher pay structure by December 31st. Simple enough. Then, suddenly, it gets moved up to before Christmas. Now, on the surface, you'd think, great, they're ahead of schedule. But is that what's really happening here? Or is this, a bit of a panic move? Maybe a way to get some goodwill in the bank before they miss the deadline completely. To figure out why this feels less like progress and more like panic, you've got to look at the backstory. Because, and this is the key part, this is not the first time we've heard this promise. Not by a long shot. Okay, look at this. This timeline just lays it all out. Back in 2023, there's a promise for a new pay structure. It gets missed. Then, in mid-2025, same thing. Another promise, another miss. Then, finally, November 12th, 2025, we get this firm, okay, for real this time, December 31st deadline. And then, just a few weeks later, the chief minister changes it to before Christmas. You see the pattern, right? This isn't just a one-off slip-up. We're on the fourth try here. And that pattern leads us right to this quote, which just captures it perfectly. It's not about a single mistake anymore. When a pattern becomes this predictable, it suggests something bigger, something more systemic is going on. It almost feels like breaking the promise has just become part of the process itself.
So what's the official story? What are they saying is causing all these delays? Well, you get these kind of vague excuses like, oh, consultations are ongoing, or we're just finalizing the data. But I mean, come on. After 3 years of finalizing data, you really start to wonder, is the data really that complicated, or is there just no real will to actually get it done?
And all of this whole pattern, leads to something really serious. It's called a credibility collapse. So let's unpack exactly what that is.
There's this great concept that explains this perfectly: deadline fatigue. And it's something we've all experienced, right? Think about that one friend who always says, I'm 5 minutes away, but you know for a fact they haven't even left the house yet. After a while, you just stop believing them. You just plan for them to be late. Well, that's exactly what's happening here. The teachers, the people this actually affects, they're probably way past the point of taking any new deadline seriously. And that fatigue, it creates this nasty, vicious cycle. It goes like this. A public promise is made. Step 2, that deadline gets missed or, changed at the last minute. Step 3, public trust takes a nosedive. And here's the kicker: Step 4, any future promises become basically useless. They just don't have the same weight. It's like crying wolf. Eventually, it all just becomes background noise.
Okay, so you might be thinking, this is interesting, but why does it matter to me? I'm not a teacher in Meghalaya. Well, here's the crucial thing. The fallout from a credibility collapse like this doesn't just stay in one place. It spreads.
It's like a set of dominoes. First, trust in this specific policy falls over. That's a given. But then, that knocks over the next one. The government's word on all matters starts to look shaky. And that suggests one of two things to people. Either incompetence, they just can't get it done, or dishonesty, they don't want to get it done. And when that happens, citizen cooperation on everything else just starts to dry up.
So with that pattern in mind, and knowing all the consequences, what's next? What's the prediction as we get closer and closer to this new before Christmas deadline?
Well, the prediction is not exactly optimistic. If history is any guide, the December 25th deadline will come and go. We'll probably hear some excuse about unforeseen technical issues, and then, you guessed it, a new deadline will be announced for sometime in January. The cycle just keeps on spinning.
And this is where the rubber meets the road. It's all about accountability. If this deadline gets missed, like the prediction says it will, what happens then? Does anyone take responsibility? Or do we just get another excuse and move on, with zero repercussions?
But here's a cool idea from the source material. Instead of just sitting back and watching it unfold, it suggests a little Socratic mission for anyone who wants to get involved. The idea is simple. On December 26th, file an RTI, a Right to Information request.
Just ask the department a simple question. Was the structure finalized? Yes or no? Then, on January 5th, do something even simpler. Go verify it with a teacher. They're on the front lines. They'll know if anything has actually changed.
And all of this leaves us with one last big question to think about. We've seen the trail of broken promises. We've heard all the excuses. So at what point does all this repeated failure stop looking like simple incompetence and start looking like a deliberate choice? At what point does it become evidence of bad faith? And that, really, is the uncomfortable question at the very center of this whole credibility collapse.